When my dad took back the bike, the Christmas gift. Yeah, takes back the Christmas gift. I would spend the holidays with my mom. I'd spend the holidays with my dad, going back and forth as divorced kids do. And my dad, I remember, asked me, "What do you want for Christmas?" And at that point, I wanted a 10-speed bike. That's what I wanted. But I wanted like a Schwinn 10-speed bike. That was the bike that everyone wanted. Schwinn 10-speed bike. And my dad, and I, love him to death. He always is kind of looking for a bargain. He's always looking for a different deal. And a Schwinn was the high-end bicycle at that point. And there was a store in the 80s called Kmart. And Kmart had their own brand of bike. And it was the bike that they made. And it was not a Schwinn. And when you were a kid growing up, having that label Schwinn, having that label OP, growing up in Santa Cruz, O'Neill, Santa Cruz skate, Levi's, real Levi's, like that was the thing. My parents were always like, I'd want Levi's, and my mom would get me Tough Skins. I wanted to wear OP, and she'd get me these shirts that were like made out of towels. It looked like they were these Kenningtons or something, and it was like everything was from Mervyn's, like these stores that just mass produced so much clothing. And even with my dad, anything that I would, ask him, it was always like my first skateboard, got it at Kmart. But I was younger then, so I didn't know that Kmart was not really cool. So at this point, I'm around 12 years old, and I remember I went to visit my dad for Christmas break. And I went to the house, and there it was. He's like, "I got you a bike, Merry Christmas." And as I walk in there, it's the Kmart, and I want to say the brand was Huffy. It was like the low end brand. Not sure if it's called Huffy. No diss to people.
Yes, it is.
Was it Huffy?
I think you're right.
Yeah. So I go in there, and there's the 10-speed bike. And right away, I know that he got it at Kmart. And the thing that I always remember, my dad was so proud of this bike, not because he bought it for me, but what he did is he had put it together. Because back then, when they gave you a bike, it was, wasn't together. It was all the pieces. And the fact, if you knew my dad, like, not saying that he's not like a technical building type of person, but he's not. Ever since we were kids, if he got a stereo, he'd be like, "Joey, how do you put this thing together?" If he got a new cable box, "Joey, how do you put this thing together?" If he gets a phone, "What are you doing?" But at that point, he has this bike, and I remember going, wow, like he took the time to put it together. And I knew he put it together because a lot of the pieces were loose and like a little, like if I would have started riding it, it probably would have like fallen apart, But he's sitting there and he's showing me the bike and he's showing me the gears and he's showing me, "Look at this," and I remember I just look at him and right away he's looking at me, and I'm not really responding the way that you should respond to someone giving you a gift like this. And I just looked at him and he said, "What do you think?" And I remember all that came out of my mouth is, "Dad, it's from Kmart." And he goes, "Yeah, I know." And I go, I don't know, man. And I start bagging on the bike. And it was so crazy because within seconds, he just looked at me. He goes, "Oh, you don't like this bike?" And I go, "Well, no, I'm just saying." He goes, No. You don't like this bike?" And I go, I don't know. I mean, I was just thinking maybe a Schwinn. He goes, "Oh, you don't like this bike? Well, check it out. This bike's gone." And I go, "What?" And within a matter of minutes, he starts dismounting the bike, putting it back in the box. And I'm just sitting there and I'm watching the bike be put back in the box. And I'll never forget it. He just takes it, puts it in the back of his car, shuts the trunk, walks by me, and goes, "Yeah, Christmas present. It's gone." Just walks into the house. And that changed my whole attitude towards any gift anyone ever gave me in my entire life, because at that moment, here he was giving me this bike, and I was just being a little prick because I wanted a Schwinn and I wanted this and I wanted that, totally missing the fact that he had spent, all this time putting together a bike. And that taught me a huge lesson at that point. And that's what I loved about both of my parents. They always, I mean, I'm sure someone watching this right now was like, "Well, that's traumatic. You mean you didn't get anything for Christmas?" No, I did not get anything for Christmas. You mean, so that year you went, "No," yeah, but it also taught me to appreciate anything that you get in life, and also to appreciate when someone gives you something, regardless of what it is, to be grateful for it. And also at that point, just when I became a parent, trying to pass that on to my kids, like, you can't have everything.